Okay, welcome to Property Law 101. I am Sara Bronin, and I created this series to help you understand the basics of property law. We talk about 4 fundamental questions in this series, and today we are focusing on a topic that sits within our third area, our third set of questions about how do we use property. So in other videos, we have talked about the nature of covenants, both the different types of covenants and how they are created. There are covenants, and we've talked about a few examples of those so far, that may be overly restrictive. There are also covenants that are racially discriminatory, as we discuss in another video about Shelley versus Kramer. There are also covenants that are discriminatory legally on the basis of age. Those are legal, age-restricted covenants under certain conditions. And there are some covenants that have particular provisions that some say go too far in constraining human relationships, or as the case may be, human-pet relationships. With that brief introduction, we turn to a case called Nahrstedt versus Lakeside Village. So this case has great facts. There is a 530-unit condo, which by the terms of the covenant running with the property does not allow cats. The covenant does, however, allow fish and birds. So Miss Nahrstedt is one of the parties in the case. She lives in this condo complex. She has 3 indoor cats, which she calls noiseless, unlike, let's say, some of the birds. She claims that she didn't know about this restriction. On the other hand, she has been hiding the cats. Miss Nahrstedt argues that the covenant against her cats is unreasonable. She says that pets don't burden neighbors, that pets are valuable human companions, particularly for the elderly, for the young, and for the sick. She also argues that these restrictions don't comport with public policy. Now, on the condo association side, they have some defenses to this. Banning pets might actually be said to maximize value for the property owners. You don't have to replace carpets. You don't have to repair holes by dogs that are dug in the yard or in the putting green. Also, offering a no pets community gives people who don't like pets an option in the world of condo communities that largely probably do allow pets. Such covenants also protect people with pet allergies. So how does the court weigh these arguments? And you can see in this case a very well-argued majority opinion as well as an entertaining dissent. There is a statute on point that the court looks at, though. The court says that, the court points out that it must enforce covenants in a recorded declaration unless they are unreasonable. The court adds to this, saying that recorded restrictions are presumed reasonable unless they are arbitrary, unless they impose burdens that substantially outweigh the benefits to the development's residents, or unless they violate a fundamental public policy. This articulation is fairly consistent with the third restatement, which we cover in another video. Using this standard, the majority finds that the no pets provision is rationally related to health, sanitation, and noise concerns. So poor Mrs. Nahrstedt. So this case talks about articulating and interpreting the rules as they already exist. Courts presume that rules that are already within covenants are reasonable, whether there's a statute on point or not. When implementing new rules, however, note that usually associations have to abide by a reasonableness standard, but those actions, those new rules, are not presumed to be reasonable as they are if they're in the original covenants. On that note, on the rulemaking front, typically changing the rules of a condo association or a homeowner association is pretty difficult. So you often have to have a majority of homeowners present, or sometimes every single owner has to agree to make the change. As an epilogue here, sometimes legislatures are faster than even community associations. California, after this case, passed a law, passed a statute that local governments have to allow one pet in every unit, that communities have to allow one pet in every unit, rather. So I will leave it there. I'd love to hear from you, whether on Twitter or through my website, where you can sign up to my mailing list. See you next time.